Hello and welcome back to Podium Pop. My name is Celine and I'm here with my co-host Gracie. Today's episode is the long-awaited return of INDYCar. We are going to be doing a recap episode over the Indy GP in St. Pete, which was the opener for the season of this year. And it was a great season opener. So before we get started and giving a full recap, make sure you go follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and we are on TikTok, and we post on there quite a bit. We also post our episodes on Spotify and on YouTube. So make sure you're following us on all platforms to keep up to date with all of the news. Woo! Let's pop the bottle and let's get right on into it.
Let's get right into it.
We're back.
Oh, we're back. INDYCar's so back.
Thank God.
Yeah.
It's been a long winter break.
No, especially for from September. We talked about this a few weeks ago, but it feels like such a long time.
It has. I think I literally I can't even talk right now. I literally started tearing up during when qualifying was starting. I was like, thank God, I needed this.
We're back.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So let's talk a little bit about. We can maybe talk a little bit about the rookies coming in, the new guys. Mm-hmm. We mostly have the same people. I would say there's not too many rookies, but two of them, there are only two new rookies, right?
Louis and Jacob Abel.
Louis Foster and Jacob Abel, both coming in. They both were first and second in INDYNXT last year, so the system is systeming.
It is systeming, which is good to see, because in the past, the system has not been.
No. In the past, the system wasn't systeming.
No, not at all.
And now it is. Thank God. So we're super excited to see them. Louis Foster is driving for RLL, and Jacob Abel is driving for Dale Coyne. Yeah. So super exciting. They both did pretty good this weekend.
Louis got knocked out of the race.
Well, he did okay during qualifying.
Well, yeah.
That wasn't his fault even.
Well, no.
Did we ever figure out whose fault that was?
I think
I think it was a racing incident.
Didn't Joseph slow down that
Joseph?
Yeah.
Joseph loves slowing down in front of people, doesn't he?
Slowing down in front of people. Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about INDYNXT as well. I did follow INDYNXT this weekend. I watched the race and I watched qualifying. I'm still kind of learning a lot of the drivers in INDYNXT. I don't know all of them, but I think I'm going to try to follow it this year.
I love that.
Yep. So we'll start with INDYNXT qualifying and just kind of go in order of the weekend.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So Dennis Hauger is a rookie. He is new to INDYNXT. He obviously participated in Formula 2. He's won many times in Formula 2. He has come in and everyone anticipated him to do really well.
Yeah, for sure.
They anticipated this. But gosh, he came in and he fucking killed it.
No, he was doing so good.
He was doing so good.
Just dominated the whole entire weekend.
So he ended up getting pole in qualifying, which was super exciting to see some other people that I support in INDYNXT and some of the notable characters in my life for INDYNXT, and along with Dennis Hauger is Kyle Collette, James Rowe, and Miles Rowe. Those are who that I know that I support. They all did okay. Kyle Collette, I think, got third.
Kyle's pretty good. He was doing pretty good at the end of last year, too.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for him. But, Dennis Hauger came in, absolutely killed it. His very first INDYNXT qualifying, getting pole. Fantastic.
Sorry. My bun kept, scraping against my puffer jacket, and that's all I could hear when I moved my head.
Oh, no, you're totally fine.
Just also for YouTube watchers. Had to adjust there. I don't know. I just still can't get over how good of a weekend Dennis had, and I think it's just such a good move for Andretti to have signed him for INDYNXT.
No, absolutely. And I know it's kind of early to tell because he's done one race.
Well, yeah.
But I think that a lot of teams already would have had their eye on him coming from Formula 2. Yeah. I think teams already would have had their eye. But after the weekend he's had, and if he continues, I think that I could see him getting a seat in Indy.
Yeah. I think it also goes to show how we've heard Marcus Armstrong and Callum Ilott talk about how the Formula 2 car is very similar to the Indy car, and I think that also kind of goes to show. I'm not sure how similar the Indy car to the INDYNXT car is, but I think that goes to show just the similarities with those as well. Yeah, he just seems so comfortable the whole entire time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we'll move on to INDYCar qualifying. So I have it broken down. So the way that INDYCar qualifying worked this weekend, it does adjust depending on if it's a oval or a road course or a street course, all of that.
Street and road are similar, and then ovals are different.
Yeah. So the way that the IndyCar qualifying was set up this time was it was split, the grid was split up into 2 groups. Those groups went, and out of the top 6 of each of those groups moved on to the top 12. That was round 2. So in round 2, the top 12 go. And then out of that group, the top 6 make it to round 3. And in round 3, the top 6, wherever they finish, is where they qualify.
Yep.
So in group 1, round 1, the top 6 that moved on was Scotty Mack, Colton Herta, Nolan Siegel, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, and Rinus VeeKay, which Rinus VeeKay I think was a big shock there.
I think so.
I mean, he's coming in with a Dale Coyne car. He's always did good last year, but he was never, I mean, I would say in general last
Rinus
year.
had that notable moment of when he, for the 500.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he came back after, like, crashing out and coming back into the Fast 12, like, knocking Colton out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was tough for me.
Yeah.
But I think it proves that even in a Dale Coyne car, he can drive competitively, and it just proves how good of a driver he is. Other than that, I mean, everyone else in there, I expected to see. I mean, Christian Lundgaard and Nolan Siegel both in Aaron McLaren's. Pato did get knocked out of round 1, group 1, which was shocking to a lot of people, and he did have some
issues with his tires.
Yeah, he was having issues with his tires in general. He had some issues with his tires during the race as well. But it was, I think, a lot of people disappointed to see him not move into the round 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously Scotty Mack, Joseph Newgarden being in there is also not that big of a shock.
Yeah.
Penske, you know. And then in group 2 of round 1, the top 6 were Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, Felix Rosenqvist, Marcus Ericsson, Marcus Armstrong, and Kyle Kirkwood. Again, not too many surprises in there, except for the fact that both Meyer-Shank moved on to round 2. I guess that's not the surprising part. The bigger surprising part is the fact that they moved on from round 2 to round 3. Like, that was really shocking. So, top 6 in round 2 that moved on to the last round was Colton Herta, Christian Lundgaard, Marcus Armstrong, Scott Dixon, Felix Rosenqvist, and Scotty Mack. Do you notice anything?
2 Meyer-Shanks in there.
The only team.
Yeah, the only team to have multiple.
You have one Penske.
Or the full team, I guess.
Right. One Penske, one Andretti, one Chip Ganassi, and one Aaron McLaren, and 2 Myers-Shank.
Myers-Shank?
Myers-Shank.
Mr. Myers.
Mr. Myers and Mr. Shank.
They're doing something this year.
It is, like, they're cooking.
No, they're cooking.
And we were already fans of Meyer-Shank.
Yeah, for
sure. We call them our home team.
They're our home team for sure.
Because they are the closest team to us. They're about 100 miles away. And we claim them as our home team.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But also, like, they aren't expected to be one of the top teams. I mean, you don't hear their name and think, oh, they're going to be up there with the Penskes, with the CGRs, with the Andrettis. Like, you just don't expect that.
I feel like a lot over winter break you were kind of hearing more from them. Like,
they've upped their PR game for sure.
Yeah, they have.
Like, their marketing in general. So I wonder if that also, like, with the upping of marketing and the upping of sponsors, maybe they're able to get more funding to put more into, like, research into the car.
Yeah, maybe. I saw a few journalists, though, talking about over winter break, like keep an eye out for them type of deal.
Yeah.
And the alliance with CGR.
With the Fast 6, the final 6, they qualified with Scotty Mack on pole, Colton Herta in second, and then Felix Rosenqvist and Marcus Armstrong did a lockout of the second row. And then Christian Lundgaard and Scott Dixon. So again, not only did both Felix and Marcus make it into the top 6, but they qualified really high.
They I think Felix went up to number 1, and then Marcus went up to number 1.
Oh my gosh, we were like, stop the count! It was
so good.
Something to note as well is the fact that both Meyer-Shank cars qualified better than all 3 of the CGR cars.
Yeah.
Which, again, she talked a little bit about it earlier, but Meyer-Shank and CGR have a partnership where a lot of times, like, people consider Meyer-Shank almost like the junior team of CGR. I wouldn't call them junior team.
It's a technical alliance.
It's a technical alliance, but it's in the aspect of, like, okay, they can easily swap drivers. They have that alliance together. I don't know. It was really, really interesting the fact that they were able to out-qualify, I don't know if that comes down to the car, if it comes down to the drivers, but at the end of the day, it was really impressive. They had such a good qualifying day. They were looking really good during the race, and unfortunately didn't pan out how they probably wanted it to. But in general, fantastic qualifying.
We also saw this weekend, Nathan Brown was reporting on it. I'm sure others were too, but I saw it from him, that CGR Chip Ganassi Racing came out and said that Marcus Armstrong drove for Chip Ganassi last year, and he went over to Meyer-Shank because of that technical alliance, and they said that he is still considered a Meyer-Shank driver. He still has that.
Still considered a CGR.
No. Still considered a CGR driver. His contract is with CGR, which is crazy.
Which is the fact that they brought that up too. Was that coming out before or after qualifying? Before qualifying. It's interesting that they bring that up because it almost implies that, like, they're almost like saying, like, hey, any moment we could switch out Marcus with any of the CGR drivers. Yeah. Not that I think they would switch him out with anybody but Kiffin.
Well, yeah.
I can't see them. I mean, they wouldn't switch out Scott and they wouldn't switch out Alex. But I do wonder how that would affect with Kiffin's funding, because Kiffin
brings a lot of funding
to the team.
Yeah.
But all in all, like, the qualifying, it was exciting. It was a lot of unexpected things happening.
I feel like, I mean, Arrow McLaren's good, but I feel like for Christian Lundgaard coming in and being, like, his first qualifying session with that team, it was good to see that he was able to pull that off and do that well, and he did so good during the race too.
Another thing is the fact that, and again, there's always these things that happen with, like, tires and all that stuff, but, like, the fact that Christian, who is the rookie of the Arrow McLaren team, qualified better than both Nolan, who had, like, half a season, I wouldn't even say a full half season, but half a season with Arrow McLaren last year, and with Pato, who's been with Arrow McLaren for years now. So there's a lot of, I think a lot of unexpected things happened that people were kind of shocked about.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll move on to race day. So again, with INDYNXT, not too much happened. There was contact during the first lap that caused, there was a couple actually in the first couple of laps that caused some people to go out. James Rowe went into the barriers, which was very disappointing to me, because I like James Rowe a lot. Also, Smith, he's one of those drivers that I'm not familiar with, but he looks really young, though.
I'm so sorry. I know you said INDYNXT, but I didn't realize it, and I was like, who are you talking about?
You're like, who is Smith?
I was like, literally, what are you doing right now?
No, this is INDYNXT race. But yeah, so Smith, I don't know anything. I don't even know his first name, but he looks so young.
Oh, really?
I didn't look up his age. I'm scared. I would not be surprised if he was 10 years younger than me.
Oh, I thought you were saying 10 years old. And I was like, that's
not 10 years old. That, we draw the line somewhere. Probably not 10 years younger than me, but like 9.
Yeah, that's fair. But we also thought Abby Pulling was like 18 and she's 21. So
that's true.
I think we're losing our concept of how old
people are. What does that say about us?
No, we're old.
Okay. I don't like that. So yeah, James Rowe, unfortunately also went into the barriers, without contact. I don't know if it was a car issue or a hem issue, but, eventually Dennis Hauger did end up winning the race, to no one's surprise.
Yeah.
Second was Hughes. Again, I'm not familiar with Hughes. I don't even know how to pronounce his first name. So I'm not going to try until I do further research. I don't want to, I'm not going to try.
You're asking a dyslexic.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. Hughes. And then Kaio Collette came in third. So I was happy with those results because I do love Dennis and I do love Kaio. But all in all, like, I mean, Dennis Hauger, what a weekend.
I know, yeah, for sure.
What a weekend.
He's going to have a good journey.
Yeah, I agree. Should we move on to the race?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lap 1. Like, did we really think we were going to get through lap 1 without an incident?
We knew there was going to be an issue.
For sure.
And there was.
Yeah, there was.
So, do you want to explain a little bit about the incident?
Yeah, so when we are first seeing it, we are just at the head of the pack, and down the line, we see some cars spinning, and immediately you can see that bright blue of Nolan's car, and it's just a little upsetting. So Nolan Siegel and Will Power had collided, and for a while, it was like
nobody could fit. The announcers couldn't figure out what it was. Like, Will and James and T-Bell were like, what is
They
going
threw
on?
around a lot of names.
No.
They were like, Pato, no. Scott, no. Nolan?
They're like, we're on Pato's onboard right now. And they're like, and we're like, that's not Pato's onboard.
They're like, I think we're on Will Power's onboard. Oh, no, that's not Will Power. Like, it was chaos.
I truly understand that this was Fox's first time doing this, but they've been doing NASCAR for a while. It was messy, and it was, as a viewer and a fan, it was honestly, it was frustrating. It was really frustrating.
I will say I had a note down to talk about the graphics from Fox and just the organization of it. And in general, we're gonna do a little side quest on this.
Yeah.
In general, all of the IndyCar stuff leading up to the actual race, I think has been really fantastic.
Yeah.
Or leading up to the weekend has been really fantastic. The commercials they've been bringing in, they've been getting a lot of traction for IndyCar. And in fact, St. Pete was the most watched IndyCar, other than the Indy 500, IndyCar series race since like
2011.
Yeah, 2011. So the fact that Fox is able to bring in that viewership is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But the weekend, watching as a viewer on TV,
it's confusing.
Even during qualifying, there were many times that we couldn't even tell who was still out on a lap. We couldn't tell like how much longer, like the graphic would go away, or it would take forever to update, and then it would update incorrectly. There was just a lot of issues during qualifying, and that continued during the race as well.
The biggest thing I didn't like during qualifying is the drivers would only pop up on the board when they went out for a lap. So, like, for the longest time, like, Renus hadn't gone out. And I was like, who are we missing? What is going on right now? There's not someone out here. And I just could not remember. But they need to have all the drivers up there and, like, make them like, you know, like, faded out or, like, darker or, like, below a line or something if they haven't set a time yet. Don't just completely not have them on the board.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to know everyone who's qualifying? It's not a good way to get new fans into IndyCar because it's confusing.
It makes it really confusing.
Even as people who we watched all of last year, it was still confusing.
Yeah. And I mean, IndyCar does a lot of things better than Formula One, don't get me wrong. But the way that F1 TV specifically, I don't watch on Sky Sports, but F1 TV specifically does an amazing job of during the graphics for qualifying. It's always super clear who is on an out lap, who is on a fast lap, who's still, like, when the timer is done, who is still on a lap in the middle of it that could still set a time, and who's done. Like, they do a fantastic job, and I think that is something that they definitely need to work on for qualifying. Because again, like Gracie said, like we've watched so many IndyCar races both in person and on TV, and the fact that we are still like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I can't imagine the new viewers that are watching for the first time, which again is something that Fox is focusing on, is bringing in new viewership for IndyCar.
Yeah.
So not the best way to do it. The race was better than qualifying, but there were still so many times
they could not, and not to like just keep dogging on it because they're gonna have things they're gonna figure out, but they could not figure out what was happening during that crash.
They had no idea whose screen it was that they were showing.
One of the biggest parts about when a crash happens is we want fast action to know what's going on. We don't want the crash to happen and then 2 full laps later we're finally figuring, like, I know it's gonna get a second till we see everybody's point of view and stuff like that, but then them literally being like, who are we? Is this and like, it's not the announcer's fault.
Right.
I don't know. I just found it, like I said, very frustrating.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's a lot to work on, and I think that they'll probably be taking a lot of information from this, and then they obviously have Thermal to kind of figure some stuff out as well.
Thermal's wacky already.
Thermal's already wacky, yeah. But all in all, like, the graphics just weren't great. It wasn't... There was a time during the INDYNXT race where you literally heard the producers talking on the broadcast, like counting them in and out.
That's insane.
Which is crazy.
That's literally insane.
Like, it's not like Fox is this new, like, app that they're trying out. Like, it's Fox. Like they're known for, like, broadcasting sports. Like, why is this an issue? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Hopefully they'll figure it out, and it'll... God, they need to figure it out before the 500.
Oh, they have to.
Like 2-ish months to get this all figured out.
Yeah. But,
I also saw
we watched it on cable, but I also saw people struggling to figure out how to watch it kind of outside of that. I saw a girl, she made a video and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to watch qualifying, so I signed up for a free trial. She's like, there was a countdown in the top corner of how many minutes she had left.
Oh, no.
I know. She's like, I just wanted to watch INDYCAR.
I think that's something that a lot of people are struggling with, because when it was on NBC before, it was super easy to watch. It was on the Peacock app. It was always in the same space.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have cable. Who has cable anymore? It's 2025.
No, really.
We had
We're
to
like,
borrow.
luckily, we randomly have 2 friends that still have.
I know. We had to borrow a friend's cable, and I think I might just have to buy like Hulu TV or YouTube TV or something.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You can share my YouTube TV.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what we're gonna do, but the fact that we're having to do this again, it's 2025. Like, Fox, just create a streaming app. Everybody else is doing it.
Why isn't it streamed on the Fox Sports?
That's a good question.
Like,
they actually already have a streaming
they
site.
have Fox Sports where I watch NFL games. Like, why? I'm confused. Like, is there something I'm missing? Truly.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like with contracts or something.
I don't know,
and,
but like what is the Fox Sports
advertisement?
app doing right now?
Bullshit.
I guess March Madness is about to start, but come on.
You can put 2 things on the app at once.
Literally.
I don't know. Like I said, Fox, I think, did an amazing job of bringing viewership in. Again,
Yeah.
it was like 1.4 million viewers
Yeah, that's crazy.
for the IndyCar race, the non-Indy 500 IndyCar race.
I will say that so much of it is probably people just casually scrolling through and being like, oh yeah, IndyCar. Like,
Yeah.
seeing it. Like, but that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it was broadcast on NBC, though.
Well, yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Great stuff. But probably won't get a lot of repeat viewers if they keep fucking up the graphics.
Yeah, making it difficult to understand.
Just a thought, just my opinion.
Fox, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, Fox.
in the booth.
Fox definitely listens to Podium Pop, so.
Well, yeah, of course they do.
So, you know.
Okay, back to lap 1. We just, we had to get that out of the way.
Yeah, we had to get that off our chest.
No, truly. So like we talked about in the beginning, it had seemed like Joseph had slowed down, causing Nolan to have to slow down, and then Willpower hit Nolan. They both spun. Louis Foster got caught up in all of this. So Louis Foster, Willpower, and Nolan Siegel all had to retire from the race. Really upsetting. Nolan looks so sad.
Listen, a lap 1
so
crash.
sad.
A lap 1 crash is always tough, but
It
for a
is.
lap 1 crash to happen at the season opener, after literally waiting since September to race, and all of the work that your team has put into the car over the winter break, it's got to be heartbreaking. And Louis Foster, his very first IndyCar race, to be crashed out, and it wasn't really any of their faults.
No. And they also got to Louis Foster first from him being cleared, I think, to be, like, interviewed. And this was, like, just like, ugh.
Poor Louis.
Yeah. He handled it well. I mean,
Yeah.
you
they
have to.
all did. Although we didn't see Louis at first. We just saw the crash between Nolan and Willpower when it first happened. We were watching with some of our friends. 2 of them have their own podcast, Outside Line Media. So we were watching with them using their cable. Thanks, Ryan. And we originally just saw that it was Willpower and Nolan Siegel, and the first thing we were like is, Will's gonna yell at Nolan. He's just a little boy.
Don't yell at him.
We're like, don't let Will at it. Like, be careful, Nolan. Like,
Nolan, run!
We were so concerned, and I think it was fine because they both got out of the car
Yeah.
and they were both frustrated, but they knew it wasn't each other's fault.
When
so
they
they
got
just kept being like, the video just kept showing them looking at each other,
Yeah.
and Nolan kept being like,
No,
oh
Nolan
my
looks
gosh,
so
like-
frustrated.
For the people listening on Spotify, he just kept throwing his hands up in the air. Like, being like, what do we do now? Like, what is this?
What's going on?
Yeah, so that happened lap 1, and then there's obviously a yellow caution. Also, I will say, Fox messed up the graphics a lot, but I love their little caution graphic
that is good.
that's around the tower graphic.
Timing tower.
It was just so cutesy. Like, it was
so
like almost
cutesy.
like a little like construction, like a construction ahead. I loved it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was cute.
It was great.
So they didn't do everything wrong, I guess.
They had a cute graphic.
Oh, wait, again, though, speaking of the graphics, sorry, we're really harping on this, but those cartoons of the drivers, All of them were scary, but some of them were really scary.
Marcus
and
Armstrong was in my nightmares.
Scotty Mac, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
They gave him like a 5 head.
And his eyebrows.
His eyebrows, he literally was like staring you down. Like his little eyes, I feel that needs to go away.
No.
Personally, not a fan.
Not a fan.
But again, sorry, I can't stop thinking of things popping up. I am a fan of the intro though.
That was good.
The
like
intro videos.
the
It was
football
giving.
NFL
It was giving like Marcus Armstrong, New Zealand. Like it was giving that.
Scott Dixon, the number 9 Honda PNC car. Like,
Yeah.
that was crazy.
The full government name.
Full government name for the car.
Yeah, but so I guess Fox did some things that I liked. They did some things that I hated.
And it'll all work out hopefully. By the 500. That's my deadline for them.
That is the deadline.
Yeah,
if they don't have it
sure.
done by then, we will be canceling the contract ourselves.
And if Fox doesn't happen to make a good graphic for Georgina at Barber, I will be freaking out.
Oof.
That is such a good opportunity, you guys. I'll call them up.
Yeah.
I'll have to.
In IndyCar, if you decide to break the contract with Fox, we will sign a contract where you are able to stream the race on Podium Pop's YouTube channel, and we will commentate the race.
Yeah.
It seems like the perfect plan.
Yeah, truly. And maybe we'll do TikTok because YouTube is pretty strict about that stuff.
Well, no, we would have the rights to it because we have the contract with IndyCar.
Oh, we're asking IndyCar to break with Fox?
Yeah, IndyCar breaks the contract with the Fox, signs the
Yeah.
contract with Podium Pop, and we become the official streaming platform for IndyCar races.
Imagine me and you in the booth with Will Buxton.
Oh my god, we'd be having such a good time.
We'd be giggling the whole
We'd be like,
time.
no. I'd be like, oh shoot, the race is on.
Will, have you tried Skyline yet? You're in America.
Oh, we'd have to bring Will some Skyline.
No, and Will would love Skyline.
He
He
would.
would be like, ooh, and I'd be like, just take a bite.
Take a bite. A Cholito.
Wait, that would blow his
Will
little
Buxton
European
eating a
mind.
Cholito? Yeah.
The European mind cannot comprehend a
Oh,
Toledo.
Will Buxton, if you're listening, if you want a Cholito at the Mid-Ohio IndyCar race, just let us know. We'll bring one for you.
We'll bring one for you for sure.
Yep. Okay, sorry. Again, back to the race.
Nah, you guys, if you're like listening, you know what goes on at Podium Pop. And like, I know you're giggling, so don't even try to deny it.
You also are thinking about Cholitos.
Wait, leave a comment if you know what a Cholito is. We get 0.
Everyone's like, what the fuck is a Cholito?
Anyway.
Okay, back to the race. So,
Yeah, for sure.
lap 1, that incident happened. We're moving on.
We're still on lap 1?
Yeah. So,
30 minutes in.
yeah. So, a couple other notable things that happened during the race. All 3 of them actually surrounding some of my favorites. Pato had a puncture.
Pat out a puncture.
Pato had a puncture.
But Pato got the biggest move award because he started 25th and ended 11th.
Yeah, he did great. He made
that's
up
amazing.
a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did get a puncture during the race, so he had to make like an extra pit stop to fix that. We also had Marcus with some wheel issues where he went to a pit stop and then the wheel was loose.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like the sticky nuts.
I think it was the suspension.
The suspension.
I believe.
But he had an issue. And then we also had Colton with a really slow pit stop. It was actually so funny. So again, we were watching with some of our friends, and our friend, one of our friends is a huge Andretti fan. And he was like, okay, he's doing good. Just don't fuck up the pit stop. And we're like, why would you say that, Patrick? They fuck up the pit stop.
No, it was literally, they were like, is Andretti going to mess up Colton's pit stop? And we were like,
We're like, no. And then everyone literally goes, they like don't get the tire on, and the whole room goes, no.
we were like screaming. It was funny.
It was funny timing,
But not funny, haha. Funny, weird.
funny weird.
Funny,
So we have throughout the race, kind of pushing towards the end. There wasn't any other huge incidents that happened. There were no other huge crashes.
Armstrong had to
It was-
retire because of his issues.
Yes.
Which is heartbreaking.
Very heartbreaking. But near the end, we somehow, out of freaking nowhere, here comes Alex Palou and Joseph Newgarden, who's shocked.
Literally, who's shocked?
Like, they can't stay away from that St. Pete podium.
No, they cannot.
Joseph Newgarden was probably shaking in his boots with his push to pass.
Yeah.
They kept talking about the push to pass the whole time, and I was like, ooh. For anyone that did not watch last season, Joseph Newgarden won the race, but then they found out after the race that he was using illegal push to pass. Mm-hmm. So actually, all of Penske got disqualified, which made Pato win the race.
And they found that out a month later.
It was a while ago. And let me tell you.
I remember just scrolling on Twitter and everybody was like, yay, Pato. And like the Emma McLaren was tweeting and I was like, what's going on right now?
You're like, there's not a race this weekend.
No, well,
like,
I literally was like, wait, what?
Yeah. No. So they were talking a lot about push to pass.
They were.
During this weekend. But yeah, at the end, both of them were kind of going back and forth. And
well, Palou kept the lead the whole time.
He did.
But Joseph got close to a few points.
It was getting really dicey, though, because they were catching up to, like, lapped traffic.
Yeah, they were.
And the lapped traffic is different, again, in Formula 1, where in Formula 1 they have to move over and let them pass, but that is not the case for IndyCar. So they passed up Stingray Robb first. Mm-hmm. And then who else was it that... Oh, it was Callum?
It was Robert Schwartzman, because the commentators were like, Robert Schwartzman's not used to this. Like, he does not have to move. He's used to the Formula Series where you have to get out of their way.
Yeah, so because... I think Alex Palou, if he didn't have that lap traffic, he would have pulled away.
Yeah, for sure.
But because of that lap traffic, it was causing a lot of issues.
Yeah, it was.
Alex Palou did end up winning.
Ooh.
Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Then Scott Dixon came in second because at the very, almost the last lap, I think, if not the second to last, Scott Dixon overtook Joseph Newgarden.
We need to talk about Scott Dixon after you read this off.
Okay. It was a beautiful pass, by the way.
It was great.
Gorgina. Mm-hmm. Joseph Newgarden in third, Scotty Mack in fourth, and Kyle Kirkwood in fifth.
Yay.
Kyle Kirkwood, he kind of hovered around.
He was kind of
there the whole time.
But also he was there and he was making those moves, but he was kind of a sleeper the whole race.
He just quiet.
Kind of coasted.
He was quiet.
And that's kind of what we needed.
That's what we needed. We didn't need him to make any waves. We didn't need him to get too crazy.
He did good.
He coasted and he ended up in fifth, so we were happy with that.
Yeah.
Highest placed Andretti, which is, exciting. Some other notable things before we talk about Scott Dixon, before we talk about Dixie. Prema did not do very good.
Well, no.
We knew they weren't going to, but I think that this, again, kind of was a bit of a wake-up call for Prema, that maybe they should have planned a little bit better, listened to the IndyCar experts a little bit better. Meyer Shank did good, but then they dropped down during the race, so they did really good during qualifying. The race pace and along with the wheel issues just wasn't great. But those were the kind of the notable things during the race. Go ahead, talk on Dixie.
Did you hear about Dixie?
No.
Dixie's radio?
What?
Oh my gosh!
Wait, breaking news! I've been on a work trip this week, so I've been kind of offline. What happened?
Scott Dixon's radio did not work from lap 2.
Oh wait, I did know that.
Yeah,
I did know that. That is crazy.
Scott's radio didn't. Which this is people were discussing this. This is not very, 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 very. This is one of the main rules. If your radio's not working, this bad. His radio was not working. He had no clue when to pit. He had no communication with his team. He just looked at his fuel gauge and decided when to pit.
And
he couldn't hear his spotter. He couldn't hear his engineer.
God,
and he got second place at this race.
That man is
a street course with no radio. Are you kidding me?
Scott Dixon, this isn't going to be shocking to anyone, but Scott Dixon is a genius. He's a mastermind.
Yeah.
He is IndyCar.
You have no choice but to stand Scott
That
Dixon.
is crazy. He did it, imagine not knowing when to pull into the pits.
It's insane.
Or not knowing, hey, this is happening at the back of the grid.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Mm-hmm. Or, hey.
Or even hearing, you're coming up on lap traffic.
Yeah.
You're not hearing any of this.
The commentators kept calling him Dixie.
Oh, yeah.
Which Gracie hated.
But they also were calling Felix Rosenquist Rosie.
Rosie. I like that, too.
What are you doing?
I like it. I like Fro.
But
Fro. Rosie's kind of fun. Dixie is fun.
But I think it's just so jarring. We've never heard it happen before.
I know, it's interesting. Maybe they're
what is Hinch doing?
Maybe they all sat down and they're
let's give some nicknames.
Let's give some nicknames out.
Yeah.
I did not hear them once use the phrase chilivery, though.
Hello?
I gave that to you for free, James Hinchcliffe.
No, seriously.
Chilivery. Come on.
What are we doing?
It's perfect.
It makes so much sense.
All in all, though, what an opener.
Yeah, what an opener.
I'm super excited. I mean, we have, Thermal coming up, not this week, but
the week after.
Is Thermal the same weekend as Australia? Mm-hmm. Ay, what a busy week.
Yeah.
We've got Thermal for INDYCAR. We got Australia for Formula 1. And we got Sebring for IMSA.
Crazy.
Ugh. And I'm moving that weekend. And we got a bridal shower that weekend. And it's St. Patrick's Day weekend.
I mean, like, Australia's all going to be at night.
That's true.
That's not going to really... And, like... We'll do a whole breakdown of what thermal is, because that is just...
Yeah.
We're
going to maybe have to do 2 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
Week.
Especially because it's the Formula 1 opener, and I'm not going to be able to shut up.
Yeah, we're going to be yapping away.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be like a 3-hour-long episode if we don't break it up.
No, like, we're going to run out of our subscription time.
Yeah.
Also, like, not to jump really quick, but somebody was like, okay, since F1 cars are back on track next week, and I was like, next week? Next week?
I mean, if you think about it, like, we're filming this on Tuesday.
No, yeah.
In a week and 2 days, we will literally be sitting and watching the press conferences for Australia.
Yeah, like, people are probably already flying to Australia right now.
Max Neutral's in Australia.
Max Neutral. I think Quadrant, because Max is there and another athlete is there, and I think Jamie's there, one of the co-owners. I think they're going to the Race of Championships in Sydney, which Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel are also doing the Race of Champions.
Wait, can we stream that?
Probably.
We need to figure out what time it is for us.
We should watch that, yeah.
Upcoming weekend, we will be filming our next episode, and it will be our very first guest.
Woo!
We are going to have our 2 friends, Ryan and Patrick from Outside Line Media, on the pod.
And you guys, like, if you think we watch a lot of motorsport,
Oh my gosh.
they, like, will watch, so they'll be like, oh yeah, we're watching this series, da da da, and I'm like, what? I've never heard of this before.
Honestly, they are such a good, like, if you want to expand, they know wheel.
They know wheel.
If you want to expand into other series other than the ones that we cover, go to their podcast, because they have the series. Like, I'm like, I didn't even know that you watched that. I didn't even know it was a series. We are super excited to have them on as our first guest. So maybe we'll see if they're also going to watch the Race of Champions, and maybe we can discuss a little bit about that. They have very strong opinions, though, and they have a lot of strong opinions that differentiate from me and Gracie's strong opinions. So it could be a pretty interesting episode. In fact, Patrick, even when I was talking about the episode with him, he goes, do you want me to, like, actually share my real opinions? And I'm like, yeah, like, I want you to be honest. Like, if you hate Lando, it'll make me cry, but just tell me.
I can't wait to argue with him about Lando. I'm going to be so honest with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if they're going to watch Drive to Survive as well, because Drive to Survive does come out on Friday. So we'll probably discuss a little bit about that in the podcast episode as well. We also will probably be posting a lot of our reactions to Drive to Survive on TikTok,
our reactions
on Instagram. So make sure that you're following us on there, because we will be doing that this weekend. That's pretty much all we plan on doing this weekend.
No, literally. Can I say something about Drive to Survive, and then I'll let my piece go?
Yep.
Actually, I have a couple things.
Speak on it, girl. Honest. Speak on it.
Okay, here I go. So, Drive to Survive is a dramatized show about Formula 1. We know this. It's, documentary style. We're seeing this. And today, I guess some reporter, blog poster got to see it early, and he report about what episodes are going on, like what, a bit in detail about what happens in each episode. Yeah, there were definitely a few upsetting things to see. Like, one of them was George's struggles in Singapore with being so overheated, and he literally, and this reporter said, we got to see George having a panic attack in Singapore, and people were like, that's so fucked up. Why are they following around him? For sure, yeah. And then he reported on some other things, like, I don't know, a lot of it was like Lando and Oscar, and they like dramatize? Is that the word? Dramatized? Yeah. Dramatized, like, things with Lando and Oscar, and then people on Twitter, I know, they're, like, freaking out about it, and what I just don't like the most is people are like, Drive to Survive is not an accurate representation of what happens in Formula 1, and then they're gonna go and continue and be like, oh my god, did you see what happened in Drive to Survive? Why did they portray it this way? It's like, you already know this is so dramatic and not accurate. Why are you letting it bother you? Just, like, stop watching it.
Yeah, honestly, so I have a lot of opinions on Drive to Survive as well. Yeah. And I personally think that Drive to Survive is a good premise. Yeah. It's a good thing. It brings in a lot of fans. It's how it's how I discovered Formula 1. I would not have probably been, I actually probably would have found it on TikTok. Yeah, but sure. I wouldn't have been a fan at the time that I was a fan unless I discovered the show back in 2022. So yes, I'm grateful for Drive to Survive, and I think it's a great way to bring in new fans.
Yeah.
A lot of people that we talk about that not in the like community that we have online, but just in our general real life, know bits and pieces of Formula One because of Drive to Survive. So I think it's a great way to get new fans in, and I think it's done a lot of good for getting more fans in America. But I think for people that are already fans and actually watch the races, they understand that that's not what exactly happens. And you just need to remember that. And I think, there's a lot of things that I was anticipating them to talk about that they didn't apparently discuss very in much detail at all. That I was a little disappointed about. But you also got to keep in mind that a lot happened last season.
Yeah, so much happened.
It's only, 8 episodes?
Yeah, I think so. 8 to 10. I forget
what it was. I mean, I'm interested. We'll share more of our thoughts once we actually watch it all.
I just feel like my biggest thing is, like, don't get too upset about it.
Yeah.
And that's also, like...
If they turn Lando into the bad guy...
Well, they're gonna.
They're gonna. And guess what? I guarantee you, people that watch Formula 1, they aren't gonna take it to heart.
But also, like, half the internet already turns Lando into a bad guy, so why are you guys gonna, like...
Right.
Like, I hate it as well, but why are you gonna harp on it so much? It's like, you're gonna harp on this so much, and then more people are gonna see that, like, he's portrayed as a bad guy. Why don't you just not watch and not talk about it, and then you can show who he really is. And, like, the great things he's done while driving, the great things he's done in, like, publicity, talking about mental health, all that. Like, I feel like harping on it so much is, like, you're giving Drive to Survive and Netflix the publicity that they want.
Yeah.
And you are falling into that bait that they want. And you're letting it happen. Just end the cycle.
Yeah.
The cycle ends with you.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you for letting me get that off my chest.
Of course. Speaking of Drive to Survive, though, there's some other shows coming out. Well, 100 Days to Indy is moving to Fox, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Which is good because originally we thought we were going to lose it.
I think they are also continuing it after the 500 too, which
is good.
Is good
because why not just have the whole season?
There's so much more happens after.
Yeah, there's also another series coming out on Amazon Prime.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't remember the name of it. It's like something like In It, Win It, For Nothing.
What's it about?
It's about young drivers. I know about it because... Let me find it. You keep talking.
Well, I think the Formula One Academy show is also coming out.
Oh, yeah. Is that on Hulu?
I forget, but it's with, what's her, Sunshine Media? What's her name? With Reese Witherspoon?
Oh.
I believe that's what it's being produced by.
Wow.
Because I remember that's what we talked with the fan behavior girls about in Miami.
Well, actually, that's kind of crazy how long ago we know.
I know.
Yeah, there's another show coming out called First to the Finish, and it focuses a lot on, like, the Cup Series drivers, I believe.
Oh, cool.
So a lot of good motorsport shows coming out. I tried to get my coworker to watch The Lionheart the other day.
Did he?
On his plane. No, he didn't. Oh. But if you haven't seen that, guys, whew, Gracie hasn't seen it yet.
I'm not. I'll go through moods where I want to watch shows and movies, and I'm not in that mood right now. And you guys, I've watched one movie this year, and it's been Paddington.
Paddington 3. Actually. We watched it together, and we both cried.
I need to go watch the other Paddingtons. I haven't seen Paddington 1 or 2.
We'll probably cry again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, any other news? Any other random news that popped up? Oh, should we talk a little bit about Christian?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, there's some other news. Formula 2, Christian Mansell, you guys, if you're on the internet in any capacity, you know who Christian Mansell is. First of all, he's hilarious and just, like, loves the memes and jokes, internet culture. But also, he's a great driver. He's literally Nigel Mansell's related to him. I forget what it is. Grandson? Great-grandson?
I think grandson.
Grandson. He...
Don't quote us on that.
Sorry, yeah. He just announced today, Tuesday, that he is stepping down from Formula 2. Pretty shocking. He was supposed to drive for Rodin. A lot of people, not try to figure out, but, like, sending him well wishes. We are as well. But he was already in Australia to get ready for the opener for Formula 2. So that was, I don't know, very shocking.
Yeah, I do wonder who's going to step up and take that spot as well. For it to be such short notice. They'd want to bring in an experienced driver.
Like somebody who's
driven probably for Formula 2 in the past.
A lot of people were saying Paul Aaron, but I don't know. I feel like... And then I saw someone else say that Paul himself said he only wanted to do one season for 2. I don't really know. Who knows? I'm not too sure.
Also, did you hear about, the rebel mechanic that wrote the book? Did you hear about all this?
Yes.
Can we talk about it? Because I hate it so much.
Yeah, we need to talk about it.
So F1, his name's like F1 Mech for like mechanic, I think it is. Callum is his name. He worked for the Red Bull team. He's still a Red Bull ambassador, but he used to be like a mechanic for Red Bull Racing. He wrote a book, and in his book, he said that somebody, for Jonathan Wheatley, his computer for the pit lane was open, and there was another computer basically like in somewhere, and it was screen sharing. So somebody on the Red Bull team decided to pull up, am I allowed to say this word?
Adult movie.
Adult content, and then screen shared it to Jonathan Wheatley's computer on the pit wall, which, I mean, truly that is just textbook sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah.
And he put it in his book, literally saying it was garage banter, trying to get Wheatley in on the garage banter, which is absolutely insane. And then he went on Twitter today and was like, ha ha ha, like somebody was like, this is crazy, and he was like, ha ha, there's so much more banter like this in the book, and people are like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
I think, and it's like, someone put it into perspective, like, everyone's like, oh, haha, garage banter, and it's like, no, imagine that happening with you and your boss.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that happening at your workplace that
Seriously.
you currently work. I don't care where you work. It could be retail. It could be the restaurant business. It could be a corporate office. Anywhere you did that, it would be so, like, an immediate fire.
Yeah.
It would be, like, an immediate,
Anywhere.
like, oh my gosh, this is a big HR issue.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't return.
How was this written in his book, and a publisher and company went through and read this and said, check.
They're like, oh, they're gonna love this. We're so relatable.
No, literally. Like, A, why did it happen in the first place? B, why did he think it was a good idea to write it in the book? And C, how did this pass?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that makes me so worried about, like, the fact that happened and it wasn't talked about at the time that it was happening is how much other, like, crazy ass shit is happening in that Red Bull garage or any of the Formula One garages that aren't talked about, that are obviously huge red flags.
No,
like,
for sure.
I mean, Red Bull in general is already in hot water. I mean, just with Christian from last year, Christian Horner, and all of that being such a big issue. And it's all surrounding workplace HR violations, sexual harassment, sexual misconduct. And for this to come out a year later, it's like, how did that...
Seriously.
How did no one see this being an issue? Like, are you so out of touch with reality that you don't see this being an issue?
Yeah. Or that too, 100%. Or I want to know, or I wonder if there's people, like, seeing it and think it's an issue, but they're scared to talk about it.
Yeah.
After, especially, like, if it happened after everything that went on with Christian Horner, they're like, well, if I speak out about something about this, I'm gonna get fired.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is, interesting, like, with it happening to Jonathan Wheatley, him no longer, he left. I mean, and think about how, and I don't know if this, I don't know if this is the situation that made him want to leave. I don't know why he left. Probably, he got a better opportunity
well, I mean,
somewhere.
he's going to be the principal for Audi.
But I think in general, though, like, he probably didn't feel great with that situation. Who would?
Imagine you're sitting there working and that just pops up on your screen.
Exactly. Anybody, even someone not even on the team in the pit lane could have seen that and felt uncomfortable. Any of the media personnel that were there, any of the other engineers that were on the pit wall, any of the drivers, anyone could have been walking by, seen that, and felt really uncomfortable. And again, like, who thinks to do that?
No,
I'm sorry. And like it's completely different. Like, already it would have been an issue if he was even in his office and someone screen shared that to his computer. That would still be a huge issue. Don't get me wrong, but to be aware that this is out in a public space and then you're like, haha, let me do this. Like, I don't know who did it.
No, I know.
But
who did do that?
I really hope they're no longer working for Red Bull.
Truly, I hope so. Just quick, same vein. Rumors have come out today and yesterday that Christian Horner has basically paid off the British media to stop talking about his situation of everything that happened last year with, sexual relations with a...
Do you know if they talk about it during Drive to Survive?
Well, it seems like they are from the trailer.
But it also seemed like they talked about Checo leaving in the trailer, and apparently they don't discuss that at all during the show, according to that reporter.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But I think another outlet source, I think it was the Dutch media. I could be so wrong. Don't quote me on that.
It would be so funny if it was the Dutch media.
Crazy.
Though.
But they came out and said that Christian Horner has basically like paid off the British media to stop talking about it. Oh, once again, this is also a rumor. And then also the rumor that came along with it was that there's going to be a trial with Christian Horner and the female employee starting in January of 2026. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about that. Once again, we talked about this so much at the beginning of last year. Obviously, we're going to stand with the female employee in all accounts.
Yeah. It is. It's just, it's disappointing. And
Very.
I think a lot of people, I think it was brushed to the side too easily.
Very quickly, the season started and people kind of
just let it go.
Let it go.
And, I mean, every time he was on the screen, I just can't.
No.
I get such a bad feeling about him.
I know.
And he deserved all those boos that he got at F175.
And I'll boo him again.
And I'll boo him again. I'll boo him all day, every day. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's disappointing in the fact that it's still it feels as though it wasn't addressed properly, and it feels as though he wasn't reprimanded properly, and he still kind of just got away with it.
Yeah,
feels
absolutely.
really icky.
Very icky.
So, but if any other news comes out, we'll continue to keep you updated. So
we also said this last year, like, rumors, we'll try not to, we'll discuss them, of course, like we kind of just did, but, like, this is someone's life right now. We're not going to just, if it seems like a baseless rumor type of deal, we're not going to, like, harp on it because, once again, like, it's someone's life.
Yeah.
Not to end on that note.
I know. Any other good news?
The entry list for the 24 Hours of Le Mans came out.
Oh, I'm so
Very
excited.
And Jamie Chadwick is going to be driving in it.
Yes. And Clem Novalak.
Clem Novalak.
Ooh. No.
Okay.
I'm really excited for it. It's in June. June 14th, I
believe, yeah.
I think it's June 14th, or that weekend of June 14th. I'm really excited to watch. Last year we didn't watch the whole thing, but we had it on.
Oh, yeah.
We left a couple of times, but
big weekend too.
Big weekend.
It's the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It is gateway for INDYCAR, and it is the Canadian Grand Prix for Formula 1. I thought it was Spain. It's the Canadian Grand Prix.
The timing is going to be tough.
We're going to need 3 TVs.
We may possibly need 3 TVs.
No, we will absolutely need 3 TVs.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be so good.
A full weekend of watching racing.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, slumber party.
It's going to be good.
Slumber party. When we do a 24-hour live stream.
We're just live on YouTube for 24 hours.
No one's watching us.
No, just watch us.
Oh, yeah, but we're excited. So we'll make sure to keep you all updated on that. But a lot of good racing coming. Thank God we're back.
It's a good racing. Also, if you are still here and present with us listening to this episode, we have a goal of making it to 1,000 followers on TikTok before the Formula 1 season starts. We have 8-ish days left to do that. We're kind of close-ish. Go over there. Give us a follow.
Please go follow us on TikTok.
Yeah.
We would love to reach our goal by the deadline that we set. We are super thankful for all the followers that we have.
Absolutely.
We have loved this experience so much, and we just want to continue growing with you all. So
yeah, of course.
make sure you go follow us.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye.